and I was walking to the store. By then it was 76 back in the days. And I was walking to the store, and there was some guys over there in the park, and they was arguing or whatever. And they was shooting, and I wasn't paying no attention. I just kept right on walking, minding my little business. And I got to the store, and the clerk said, "Ma'am, you bleeding." I'm like, "Huh?" And I didn't pay no attention.
Jesus.
But she said, "Ma'am, you're bleeding."
Jesus.
And I was like, okay. So I went and got my Coca-Cola, and I went back to the front to get my cigarettes and stuff. She said, "Ma'am, you're bleeding." I was like, okay, well, if I'm bleeding, call somebody. I mean, I don't think I'm dying. She said, "No, ma'am, you're bleeding. Like, look." And I looked down, and I mean, my shirt, it was soaking. I thought it just was like me sweating from walking. And got to the hospital and everything, and called my mom and dad and stuff like that. But long story short is that the bullet, it went past my heart, it went through here, and it came out in my shoulder.
Oh, Jesus.
And
Jesus.
and I tell anybody, I said, you know, when you pray to God, it's a feeling when you ask him, you say, "God, if you just give me one more chance, I promise you I'll do right." There's a feeling when your soul go back into your body. It's a feeling you cannot describe. I can't describe the feeling. But I tell you what, it was such a pain, excruciating pain when I woke up. And my mom, she looked at me. She said, "You need to get yourself together." And I just kept hearing her, "You need to get yourself together. Sharon, you got to get yourself together." And then I heard my dad, because I'm my dad's only child from my mom. So I heard my dad say, "Sharon, you got to get it together." He said, "I may be out here in the world, but he said, I don't want you to live the life that I'm living. I want you to do right. You was brought up in the church. You know right from wrong." So I said, "God, if you just give me one more chance, I promise you I'll do right." And I remember opening my eyes, and I looked at, the first person I looked at was my mom. And I just started crying. And I said, "Mama, I promise you, I'll do right." I said, "I'll do right." And then, you know, I was doing right for a while. And then, you know, hang around the wrong crowd. When you was at work, here I am, I done wanged away, done got kids, and I'm like, now I told God I was going to do right. And here I am, I done left. And I knew I was wrong. But here I am, I'm trying to impress my friends over here and not listening to God over here. And I tell you, when God took my when God took my dad, that was a hurting feeling. And I said, and I called my mom. I said, no, my mom called me. I was living in Kissimmee. Everybody called it Kissimmee, but it's Kissimmee. And I was working at Walt Disney World. I had 2 kids, and I would drive from Kissimmee to Orlando because I was working in Walt Disney World in the kitchen. And my mom called me. She said, "Sharon," she said, "your dad's dead." I said, "No, my dad." Now, I just talked to my dad a couple of days ago. She said, "No, Sharon, your dad's dead." I'm like, "No, my dad's not dead." She said, "Sharon, is your dad dead?" So I was like, okay, whatever. So I hung the phone up on my mom because here I am, you know, listening to the devil, not listening to my mom. And one of my other sisters, she called me. She said, "Sharon, I need you to sit down." So I'm like, "For what?" She said, "No, I need you to sit down because this is going to hit you hard." And I said, "Okay, fine." So I sat down. I went to one of the other people, and I told them, I said, "Hey, I got to take this call. I got to go outside." So I went outside, got me a cigarette, went out there, sitting out there on the bench. She said, "Sharon," she said, "I don't know, Mama called you, but she said, your daddy's dead." And right then and there, I was like, and I questioned God. I said, "Why? Why did you take my dad? Why? Of all things, you could have took my mama, you could have took my sisters, you could have took my brothers, you know, but why did you take my dad of all things, my dad?" And I'm sitting there and I'm questioning him. And at that time, I called my mom back. I said, "Mom," I said, "I'll be on the next thing smoking." which was Greyhound back in the days. So I went, got my kids. I went back to work. I told them I had to leave because my dad done passed. And I can honestly say, before I even got invited here, I was going to another church, and of course they wore whatever they want, you know, heels and all of that. And when Deacon McCoy invited me here, one time I came, and then I was like, no, I don't want to go. And then he invited me again. He said, come on, go, come on. So when I did come, I came, but when I walked through the door, no one looked at me different. It was like, it was a whole different atmosphere from the church I was at. And it was so different to where I felt like I was at peace when I was here. I'm at peace. Because the other church I was at, I was like wanging, you know, sometime the pastor may come, and then who he had preaching wouldn't be preaching. And, you know, it was like a fakeness of preaching. But when I came here, it was a whole different atmosphere. It's like that atmosphere, it changed. It completely changed. And I went home and I said to myself, I said, okay, God. I said, if that's where you want me to be, that's where you need me. That's where I need you to take me. And from that moment on, I have been coming faithfully. I have not missed. I love each and every one here. It's like, it's the love that's here. It's the love. You know, when the saints said they're going to pray, they're going to pray. I mean, when we pray, we pray. There is no stopping. There's times I'll be at home, or I can be at church. I mean, not church. I can be at work, and I will go to my bus. I have a pillow on my bus where I put down on the ground, and I sit there. The driver, she be slanging me now, but I be right there. I steady yet be praying. So when the saints say, well, pray for me, I make sure I'm right there. I'm praying. I'm praying. I'm praying. I'm praying.
Thank you, Jesus.
You know, because that's my peace. That's my time with Jesus. That's my time. So I give it my all. When I give you my all, I'm giving it all to you. So I want y'all to continue to pray for me and my husband. Those of y'all that knows the prayer, and my sister-in-law, as always, I'm always praying for you as well, and I love you.
Praise the Lord.
Amen.